Hey guys, it's Elson932 on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching my video. This is going to be something different. I love this show called Alone. It's on the History Channel. And I watch also Life Below Zero, all these survivalist shows. And I said, a new season of Alone is coming up. Maybe I should recap and review this while we're waiting for our usual dating shows. And let's just say I am excited. I am really excited to bring this to you. So while I jump in and we're going to meet this year's cast, please make sure you like, you share, and you subscribe to this channel. So let me give you a little backstory. Alone is about 10 contestants. They are survivalists, and they are dropped alone in the middle of a certain area. There are 10 miles between them and the nearest contestant. So they come in, they actually put forth videos that show their survivalist skills and training. They have to know how to build shelter, how to build a fire, they have to know how to hunt. There are different things. Now, when Alone first started, you had to find a way to bake your fire. Now they give you, a fire stick as one of your items. Now, when I say one of your items, you are allowed to bring 10 items with you. And how versatile those items are can really impact your game. So this is why I love it. So you get 10 items. So some people bring an axe that is also like a saw, an axe that is also pry stuff open. People use multi-tools. Some people bring paracords, which they can weave into a net, which they call a gill net, and put it in the water so they can catch fish while they're not fishing. They are certainly some ingenious things. I'm excited because I don't see myself doing this. I don't see myself as a survivalist. Yes, I grew up, having moments in the country where you process your chicken or a duck or so forth. But I'm talking about big game. Last season, someone felled or hunted a moose. Another year, somebody brought an ox down. They had to take care of it. They had to dress, which is basically undress the animal. They had to, basically process it so they can keep that food. They had to smoke the meat. Then they had to store the meat so that they don't get sick and the meat don't get, really disgusting. And also they had to protect it from the wild. There are bears coming. Usually in the past, there are bears coming. There have been battles with wolverines. I am telling you, there is a lot of stuff on Alone that you wouldn't even think of. Now, when the contestants are brought to their location, it's usually a race before the clock. They have to make sure they have water, food, and shelter. And it's usually before the winter hits. They're usually, around the northern hemisphere in Canada, or some parts of Alaska. So again, they don't know when winter is actually going to get here, but they are preparing for it. Now, some people, because it is a long-standing, some people stay 77 days was the first winter stayed there. People have stayed longer, but here's the thing. It depends on how much fishing, how much hunting, if they're not losing too many calories, if they're not losing too much weight. Because every week we learned there's a medical team coming to check. And people have been pulled from the show because they've lost too much weight. They have been pulled from the show because medically they are seen as a risk. Some people, it's because, their bodily functions aren't functioning normally. There may be blockage. Some people get hurt. They know what herbs to use. They know how to treat themselves. But sometimes infection set in. Sometimes, frostbite is setting in. And they don't want people to lose limbs on this show. That would be a disaster. So I like Alone because in many instances, it's either medical reasons people are pulled. Sometimes they fall and hurt themselves and they have to call it in. And that's how they get pulled sometimes. If you think you are in a tenuous situation, there's a satellite radio and you call it in and they come and get you and they provide medical attention. Now, other people, it is the loneliness. It is the missing their family. I cannot tell you how many times I am rooting for a contestant. They have food stored, they have everything, they have their shelter, they're doing great. And then they miss their family so much and they're like, I've proven all I need to, and I go home. And I'm like, wait, I wanted you to win. But I guess they won in a sense for them because they, learned all that they can and they proved they could survive alone. Now, what I've heard from the contestants in looking at the show is that it is certainly a wonderful experience, but it is a taxing experience because you are doing everything. The one anxiety I have is when we see bears and other animals. One guy had a wolf come through his camp. That is terrifying. That is truly terrifying. But they are given like beer spray. They are given different things to help them ward off these animals. They are taught what the local animals are that they cannot hunt. And they sometimes tell us. But they're also given all the camera equipment and batteries that they need. It is dropped off ahead of them, and they are to angle the camera in different ways, and they're taught how to use these like right before they leave and are dropped off. So they're usually dropped off by helicopter or by boat, and it usually is something everybody has an equal chance. So you may have a whole bunch of berries, but somebody may be on the area that has a lot more of that fern on the ground that may provide them with bedding and be able to create shelter. So nobody has a great advantage. One person I saw, they built a pier all the way into their lake because the lake was really receding, and they built a little pier so they can stand in the water when it gets a little bit colder, but not be in ice cold water to still fish. Some people that gill net, that did fishing while they're not fishing, they come back and the bear or an otter or a beaver of some kind has taken their fish. So they're battling Mother Nature, they're battling the wild, and they're trying to survive. And all of this I find fascinating because I know I just couldn't do it for right off. But what we're here for is to meet this year's cast. And while I told you they usually dropped off in North America, this season, season 12, has a surprise for us, okay? They have a surprise for us. They're not dropping them off in North America. They're dropping them off in Africa. Hence the thumbnail and how it looks. Now, that brings to mind something that we never had to concern ourselves about on Alone. Where are they going to find water? How are they going to keep themselves hydrated? They still have to hunt. They still have to wash off. They still have to take care of themselves and stay hydrated. Also, Africa has a lot more dangerous animals, poisonous animals, the scorpions, the snakes, than you would find wolves and bears in North America. So this is a whole new playing field for everyone. And based on the 10 items people pick, I wonder if they knew it was Africa or not. I'm hoping they didn't know. I'm hoping they didn't know. But what I'm going to do is tell you who they are, okay? Just a little synopsis, name, age, where they're from, what they do, and their top 10 things. And we're going to learn something. And I'm hoping you'll be with me throughout this experience. So first up, okay, we're going to have Pablo. Pablo is 55 from Jacksonville, Florida, and he's a video editor. And at first I was like, what is Pablo doing here? He's not editing the footage. Is he an alone editor? Because that would be really, really interesting. So his 10 things we see are bow and arrow, shovel, saw, 2-quart pot, ferro rod, fishing rod basically, a bivy bag, paracord, as I said, it can make gill nets, fishing line and hooks, multi-tool. Now the multi-tool, you'll see some people call it a Leatherman, which is basically it's got all the different tools together and it flattens down. And he got a 12 by 12 tarp. That of course is for shelter to cover it. And they usually do this because it kind of like waterproofs it. But since it's Africa, how much rain is going to be where they are? That's why I'm thinking they didn't know it was Africa. They didn't know what was coming. Next up, we have Colton. Colton is 35. Hometown is Red Lodge, Montana. He is a carpenter. His 10 items: bow and arrow, ferro rod, pot, fishing gear, wool blanket, multi-tool, axe, paracord, tarp, and saw. That is really, really interesting what he has. And I'm like, what exactly doing? And y'all, a ferro rod is actually the fire starter rod. It's the little rod like a piece of flint. That is a ferro rod. So they are actually allowing them to bring their own lighter basically for fire so they can make sure to treat their water, boil it properly. Next up, we have Will. Will is 31 from Leakey, Texas. He's an exotic animal rancher and fabricator. He is bringing a tarp, a machete, a pot, multi-tool, fishing gear, bank line, blanket, bow and arrow, shovel, and a ferro rod. So with the blanket, now y'all may think, why is he bringing a blanket? Um, that blanket may have string, the string making up the blanket. He may be able to take it apart and make paracord or make something else. Sometimes when I see that, I'm like, what are you using it for? Because it's not for comfort. It's certainly for survival. We don't know if that blanket may be treated and become like a bag to be able to keep anything he's caught and string it up in the tree and keep it away from predators. But this is Africa. There are predators in the tree. There are predators who can climb trees and get your stash. That's all I'm saying. I'm like, oh, Africa is going to be amazing. Next up, we have Kelsey. Kelsey is 35 from Winnett, Montana, is a professional horse trainer. On the list are fishing, I'm guessing fishing rod, bow and arrow, the ferro rod, the lighter, pot, blanket, tarp, a third rice, a third salt, a third sugar. Now that's interesting because they've never been allowed food before. So I find that fascinating that for Africa, they're allowed this as one item. It's not even each of them, it is considered one item. So then we have the Leatherman, which is the multi-tool, which has the pliers, scissors, a little knife, a little screwdriver, all of that in one. Plus paracord and a saw. Next up, we have Baha. Baha is 50 from Warncliffe, Ontario, Canada. He's a homesteader, railroad maintenance. So the 10 items are tarp, bank line, I'm thinking that's fishing line, pot, soap, bow, pemmican. Now, I looked up pemmican, and pemmican is a traditional nutrient-rich food made by mixing dried meat, often bison, rendered fat, and sometimes dried berries or other ingredients. It's highly calorie dense, protein packed food that does not require refrigeration and can be stored for extended periods. Historically, it was a vital food source for indigenous people. So that's what pemmican is. So that's another food, but that pemmican, um, next item is salt. So how come the salt is not considered in the same thing as food group with the pemmican? I'm interested. Then he also has, right after the pemmican, it's salt, a saw, multi-tool, and a shovel. Very interesting, these shovels. I wonder if the shovel is also a multi-tool, which is a shovel and an axe and a saw, because there's sometimes, things I've never seen before. Next up is Douglas. Douglas is 57 from Kannapolis, North Carolina, is a primitive technology instructor. He has a blanket, bivy bag, pot, water bottle, ferro rod, Leatherman, which is the multi-tool, machete, fishing gear, bow and arrow, and that pemmican again. Now that bivy bag, we've seen it before, and I realized, I'm typing up bivy bag and I don't understand exactly what a bivy bag is. Now, a bivy bag is an emergency sleeping bag. It's also waterproof. So they're taking a bivy bag. Now, we may find that interesting. One year, a contestant, field mice went into his, it was winter, and the field mice found his home. It's a nice warm place, and they ate through his sleeping bag. So again, I don't know what that bivy bag with that sleeping bag, that is the thing that makes me think, do they know where they're going? Because it's Africa. Why would you need a waterproof sleeping bag? Interesting. I'm thinking Africa is always hot. Maybe it's my, misunderstanding. Next up, we have Doug. Doug is 53 from Nashua, New Hampshire. Now, I've been to Nashua. I really like New Hampshire. Profession is a user experience designer. So I'm thinking, Doug takes people out on survivalist missions. So he has a pot, a canteen, first canteen we've seen, Leatherman tarp, ferro rod, fishing gear, shovel, bow, salt, and blanket. So that right there, the first person that has a canteen to hold their water is interesting because some people don't want to waste their 10 items and they just drink their water out of the pot. But if you only have one pot for water and for food, it's interesting for people like where would you host your water? But in previous episodes, anything that washes ashore, anything you find along the way, it is yours to utilize. And some people actually make their own drinking water canteens out of whatever they find. But that was when we were in the Antarctic, and you could find a tree that you could hollow out a limb and make yourself a canteen. So this is Africa. Next up, we have Nathan. Nathan is 52 from Bowl, Idaho. And I'm sorry if I mispronounce anything. He is a tech CEO. Now, I put a little bit more into Nathan in reading what he has in his bio because Nathan is related to a previous contestant who was on season 10. And I was like, is this interesting? You do not have an advantage in that now you're in a whole new area. And I wonder if they held his selection until they moved it so he wouldn't have an unfair advantage. That's all I'm thinking, Nathan. So his list of items is cookpot, canteen, Leatherman, knife, bow and arrows, fishing gear, blanket, salt, soap, and ferro rod. Now with the bow and arrows, they usually have a bow and they are limited to the number of arrows they can have. I believe it's 6 arrows or 8, but this may change the whole game. Now the soap. People usually don't take soap with them. They usually just, find herbs or grasses around that can utilize as a form of cleaning themselves. But soap is interesting. And I know soap can sometimes keep certain prey away. So I wonder if that's what they're using it for, if not to clean. Next up is Jit. Jit is 35 from Anaquin, New Zealand. I hope I said that correctly. Anakiwa, New Zealand. I think that was better. He's an outdoor educator. His 10 items are bow and arrows, fishing gear, pot, ferro rod, water bottle, another water bottle instead of canteen, a multi-tool, paracord, shovel, tarp, and saw. Interesting list. We have bow and arrow and fishing gear. He's one with a pot and a water bottle. But he also has his paracord, shovel, and a saw. And I said, I wonder if some people have those shovels that are saws and they're able to bring more items. It'll be interesting to see how Jit uses his items. Last up is Katie. Katie is 46. She is from Emerald Beach, Gumbayniger country in New South Wales, Australia. Profession is a survival skills instructor and mentor. Her items are bow and arrow, fishing line, and hooks. Leatherman, remember that is the multi-tool. A silky saw. Now what is a silky saw? That is interesting. Water pot, axe, ferro rod, salt, canvas tarp. I wonder if that canvas tarp is different from the plastic tarp everybody has. And she also has a blanket. So what is a silky saw? That just, I didn't see that the first time I was doing this, and I'm like, what is a silky saw? And a silky saw, oh, it is one of those, a very long saw. It's like a long knife that kind of you can bend in half, and it has very sharp teeth. So it's kind of like some people used to have them as also their axe. So I'm wondering if she just has that long saw instead of having a machete like some of the others. But a pruning saw is kind of like what people use to cut limbs in trees. You know how they have those long trimming rods to trim trees? So that saw is like a handle and that long blade with very deep, sharp teeth. A silky saw. I've never heard it called a silky saw. I just know it as a saw. But that is the list of the contestants with a list of their items. So you let me know, what are you looking forward to? Are you going to join me in following Alone? It is coming in June. And I said, let's meet the cast. Let's talk about it. Based on your comments, I will know, am I going to do this weekly, do a weekly review, or am I going to drop it as things get interesting? But I'll be watching either way. So I hope you'll watch with me because I learned so much. It is so interesting. And although we do relationships, as far as people in relationships, this one is a different kind of relationship. It's people's relationship with nature and themselves. Who is going to be the last person standing? Who is going to stay on alone and be alone for the longest period of time? I'm hoping you take this time before the new season to go back and look at the most recent season and see if it catches your eye and interests you. But please keep in mind, all the seasons before it was North America. This time it's in Africa. I am intrigued for this journey and I look forward to rooting for all of them. I'll see you on my next video. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel.